Hey everybody, welcome to the MelFit podcast where we talk all things health, fitness, and lifestyle. As you heard on our intro, I am Coach Mel. I am an online health and fitness expert who wears many hats. The one thing that we didn't mention, we need to update Josh, is that we are now magazine publishers, which we are very proud of that. I was telling my best friend when she was here, I think two of the hardest things I've ever done, well, the app was hard. The plans were hard, but the magazine was definitely a challenge and out of my comfort zone. And this podcast is also definitely a challenge and a little bit out of my comfort zone. But I like a good challenge. I think like most people with anything, I thought about it for so long, right, Josh? Remember, like, I had a microphone set up at my house and I just couldn't get started. So kind of in relation to health and fitness, the best thing to do is to start before you're ready. And I think that fear of I don't know what I'm doing or I'm going to fail keeps us all from starting. So start before you're ready. Everything's figure outable and we'll all figure it out together on the way. So along the way. So today's podcast is titled Roadblocks, and this is a spin-off of my Facebook Live yesterday. When I have a really good Facebook Live, I want to turn it into a podcast because I feel like it's good information that needs to be shared again and again, because if one person had that question, other people are going to have that question. So the questions I got were from our MelFit Army, so I think they're worth repeating. If you know, a couple people were wondering about these things, other people are going to wonder too. So we're going to start out with, I'm going to just talk about a little bit about what the date is. It's August 18th. I always like to say these on my videos so you can kind of know where we're at in our timeline. August 18th, 2022. We are 2 weeks before school starts, 2 weeks until things wind down, the weather starts to change. And the one thing that I'm seeing, we have a big boot camp starting September 12th, although you can join any of my plans anytime. It's nice to, you know, commit to that date. And I think that the one thing I've been saying a lot lately is fall and winter is the best time to reach your fitness goals. If you're at your goal in May, Josh, how nice would it be to just maintain during the summer? Wouldn't that be nice to just be at your goal and to maintain? So I feel like summer bodies are made in the fall and winter, okay? That's the time to roll up your sleeves. There's less distractions. My challenge is starting September 12th, ends December 5th. Shoot, you could be down almost 40 pounds by way before Christmas, and you could be fitting into your suits if you're a guy, or dressy clothes for Christmas parties, or that little black dress for women. So what else did I want to talk about here? What else was I was thinking, kind of more announcements. Josh and I have some exciting things coming to you guys. A major project we're going to be working on, don't forget about that, Josh, that we are going to have completed by January 31st, 2022. So stay tuned for that. We were talking this morning, and the one thing about Josh and I is we're really passionate and excited about MelFit, and we both love our jobs. One thing, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it's a guy I follow, Alex Hermosi, who's a multi-millionaire, and the one thing he said is, if you can't see yourself doing something forever, don't do it. And I think that is relative to everything, right, Josh? Mm-hmm. Life, who you're with, spouse, husband, wife, who your friends are, what you're doing for a living. Like, if you can't see yourself doing it for the rest of your life, don't do it. And Josh and I both really feel positive about Melfit and that this is something that we both actually look forward to. It's not like we drag our booties out of bed and think, oh, I gotta go to work at Melfit. Like we love what we do. So love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. It's very rewarding helping people change their lives, get off high pressure meds, get off cholesterol meds, blood pressure meds, dump pounds, dump inches, get rid of rosacea, get rid of hives, get rid of inflammation, and the list goes on and on. So let's talk about those roadblocks. So this question came in and it was how to not let your family sabotage your health and fitness goals. This happens all the time when I'm on sales calls. I always ask, is there any questions? Do you have any fears or concerns? Yes. What about my family? Well, I'll go back to my story and tell you a little bit about my backstories, and maybe you can kind of relate to this. When I was 25, I got married, and I've been married for 21 years this year. And when I was 27, I opened up my first business. I've opened up a new business every 4 years since I was 27, running two businesses at the same time most of my adult life. So my husband and I started with a drive-through coffee stand, and we were working 80 hours a week the first year, I believe, with no employees. So it was us 7 days a week. And I really started packing on the pounds. I'd been overweight once before when I was about 19, when I started to get into drinking. And then I got that off, and I had maintained till I was 27. Then it came on again. So I should have been in the forefront of my business, and I should have been the face of my business, but I was wearing baggy sweatshirts, baggy clothes. I was covering up. I would hide in the back of a stand. I was feeling insecure. And after we started getting employees, my husband started going back to the gym, which he had always worked out, and I just couldn't wrap my mind around getting to the gym. I thought I was too overweight to go to the gym, and I was just falling apart. I saw a picture of myself, and I just had this big, huge spare tire, and I think that I'd been so busy working that I didn't realize how my health was taking a back seat. So everybody has this aha moment, and when you have that aha moment, you'll never forget. It's that moment where something happens, where you see a picture or you try on some clothes or something happens and you're just done. Well, I was just done, and I remember thinking my clothes were getting too tight, and I remember thinking there is no way I'm buying a bigger size. I've been up to a size 15, and I decided that I was going to do something about it. And it's so cliche because of course it was a New Year's resolution. And I have to tell you, when you get to the point where I'm at and where a lot of Melfit Army family members are, it's so freeing. Josh can relate to this. Isn't it nice when New Year's comes around and you know that you're already working on your goals? That's not ever going to be your New Year's resolution. You're never going to be in that starting point again. So I started, and I remember I was making these huge meals. I was doing red meat. I was making potatoes and a rice and bread and a veggie. And I mean, it was just ridiculous. And I remember eating 2 plates of food, and I didn't think anything of it. I would go get seconds. Like, I never hardly ever get seconds. So I thought I was doing the good wife thing by, feeding my husband and making all these meals, but I was doing myself a disservice because my husband has the metabolism of a 12-year-old boy, and probably he was a size 29 waist when I met him. I think he's gained quite a bit more muscle now. He's 49 and 48. Now he's a 31, but I mean, it was ridiculous. He had like a tapeworm. So while he was, eating everything in sight, he was looking better, and I was looking worse. So I remember telling him that, you know what, I am sorry. I have got to take care of myself. I'm not performing well in my personal life with you. I'm not performing well in business. I'm not feeling good with friendships. I don't want to be around anybody. I'm having a hard time getting dressed. I'm focusing on myself. That's when I started the exploration of nutrition. And at that time, I couldn't really find anybody in my area that was knowledgeable. So I just have studied every day, reading books, listening to podcasts, researching every day since that day. I never stopped learning and researching. And first and foremost, for myself, I never had planned on turning it into a business. It was for me. And I feel like if you've worked with people before and they haven't fixed themselves first, if they're not at their goal weight and they haven't maintained for over 20 years like me, they probably can't help you. And it's not being mean, it's just being real. If they haven't figured it out for themselves, they're not going to figure it out for you. I think it's a little bit disturbing seeing people preach health and fitness when they haven't figured it out for themselves. I just don't think that it goes hand in hand. It's like, stay in your lane. If that's not what you're good at, obviously because you haven't figured out for yourself, go into something that you are good at, that you can 100% say, this I've mastered. Don't, dabble in something that you aren't truly an expert in your field. So I started cooking my food, and I was not going to cook a second meal for him because I am way too busy. I've always been busy. I've always burned the candle at both ends. I am really, really high-strung, energetic, a million ideas, real estate investor, entrepreneur, just really go, 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 and no time for that. So I got the weight off in 6 weeks. And in reference to the 6 weeks, I feel like I personally wanted it so bad. Nothing tasted better than fit was going to feel for me. Like, I didn't care if you waved my favorite apple fritters in my face. I was not going to veer from the plan. So I lost a good 10% of my body weight in the first 6 weeks. And then I've slowly lost 30 pounds and 20% body fat. So I'm actually smaller now than I've ever been. I was a 3 forever. Now I'm a 1. So what has happened with my husband is, although he's not overweight, he realizes that he does need to eat healthy food, because if he were to continue with the potatoes and the rice and the meat and the starches and the bread, that here we would be 20 years later and he would have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes. And he actually did have a scare with his cholesterol not that long ago, and we reduced his numbers. You should be under 200 for a male. He was 278. We dropped him to 178 in 2 months, and it was just cleaning up the cobwebs. He was going out to Mexican quite a bit and getting that exercise regularly. And food is thy medicine, and almost everything, in my opinion, can be cured through health and fitness. If you are a Google or a WebMD person, almost everything for every ailment that you may have, most autoimmune diseases, it's going to suggest a lifestyle change. Would you agree, Josh?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing, the question was about what about my family? Well, what about your family? Do you want to kill them too? Do you want obese children? Do you want an overweight husband or wife? Because you are the head of household. You're buying the groceries and you're preparing the food. So if anybody in your house is unhealthy, essentially it's on your shoulders. Do you want that burden? Also, it's going to be generational. If you are not making a lifestyle change because you're worried that they're not going to like that they're not eating meat and potatoes and freaking granola or cereal, how bad are you going to feel when not only your children are overweight, but your grandchildren are overweight? Would you agree it's generational, Josh? So one thing too is, like, Josh could break the cycle, right, Josh?
Yeah.
And, he's having some health issues in his household. And I was just telling him today, you and your mom can help your household. You and your mom can break this generational cycle of obesity and poor health, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. So I know it's kind of a harsh saying. It's a harsh thing to say, and I know at first people are like, oh my gosh, like that's so uncomfortable. How are we going to go from going down all the middle aisles, getting all the frozen food, getting all the processed foods, using the excuse that we have no time? Well, you're not going to have any time because you're going to die at an early age. So if you don't think you have time now, you're really not going to have time when you continue consuming processed foods. So a couple of ways you can go about this. A, if you're thinking about starting a nutrition plan and you're also worried about your family, why don't you do the reverse psychology approach where you just are casually in the kitchen prepping your MelFit meals, and you're making your protein balls or your MelFit soft bake almond flour chocolate chip cookies, or your MelFit banana bread, or your MelFit sweet potato sloppy joes, or your MelFit creamy Tuscan chicken, and all of a sudden people are milling around going, hey mom, hey dad, what do you got? And they grab a bite skis and they're like, wow mom, I like that. And then you have an open ear, and then you start printing those recipes and you start creating a family cookbook. Okay, that's reverse psychology. Then you start making double up on those things. You're on a meal plan, you're eating the same food for 6 days a week. Your family may tire from that. So my suggestion is double up or triple up on your food so your family's good for a couple days. Pick 2 other recipes: anti-inflammatory meal plan, gluten-free, dairy-free, no processed sugar, off the MelFit app, and like Wednesday and maybe Friday, make 2 more meals for the family. Then you're done, okay? Then essentially you aren't making meals for you and meals for the family every day. You're only making 2 extra meals. All my meals are approximately 25 minutes. Even the most novice cook can prepare my meals. So I think that also just putting your foot down like I did and just letting your family know, I am not happy. I'm going to be a better mother. I'm going to be a better wife. I'm going to be a better husband if I can take care of myself. Like, please support me and do, whatever you can. And if at all possible, can you be open to trying some of these foods? I understand you're not going to like everything. We replace, we don't remove. So we're having all the fun things that you're used to. But what I'll do is I will definitely pay attention, and I will print every recipe that you guys are enjoying, and we will make a family cookbook. When you move, I will, in your hope chest, along with your dishes and your comforters and your, whatever I'm getting you to start, your adult life with your apartment, the most important thing that's going to be in your hope chest is going to be the Valdovinos family cookbook, okay? And then that is how you get rid of the generational obesity, okay? Because now you're going to have that cookbook, and I think that it's a monkey see, monkey do. If your mom did it or your dad did it, you more than likely end up doing it. But what kids don't know is they don't know right from wrong. They only know what their parents tell them. So I give the MelFit Valdovinos family cookbook to my stepdaughter Talia and my stepdaughter Marissa, and then they make that for their kids, and that's all their kids know. If all your kids have ever known is McDonald's, that's what they're going to teach their kids. If all your kids ever known is MelFit, that is all they're going to teach their kids, and that is how the generational obesity is going to be broken. What do you think, Josh?
Agreed.
And it's like, I'll see kids that eat vegetables, and it's like, it's because they were never taught any different. do you remember like being a kid, and you might still idolize your parents, hopefully you do, and you just thought whatever. Do you ever see, like a mom and the daughter, they're dressed together? It's like, that's your idol. Don't you want to be a healthy idol? Don't you want to contribute to the health and wellness of your family? So you got to just get a little gumption, get a little guts, and either A, start out with hoping people start to graze on your stuff, or B, just ask if the family would be open to trying some new meals. So going on to the next topic idea from our Facebook Live was how to feel good in clothes and pull yourself together when you are not at your goal weight or size. Well, the one thing that I said on my Facebook Live, anybody over 40 has probably experienced some death. I remember being a kid. Do you remember when you first had a death in your family, Josh? How old were you?
One I remember is probably, it was in high school, actually.
Okay, yeah, me too, high school. So then don't you think the older you get, you kind of change your views on life and you realize that it's more precious than you think, right?
Yeah, every day is a blessing.
Yeah, and it's not forever, and you should, value each day to the fullest. With that being said, another generational thing that I would like to break is older people always saved things, right, Josh? Mm-hmm. Saved the china, saved the wine, saved the this, saved the that. It's like, stop waiting, stop saving, use the good stuff, man. Break out that bottle of wine. I have a friend who has a wine cellar, and a lot of other people will experience this as well. A lot of times they open their wine and it's gone rancid. It's like, how about let's drink it now, So I'm a stylist, if you don't already know this. I used to own 2 clothing boutiques called Smitten Clothing Boutique and Tryst Menswear. One was in the Coeur d'Alene Resort Plaza shops, and one was in Post Falls, Idaho, where I live. And my best friend and I are stylists. What does a stylist do? A stylist helps somebody who needs help with fashion. So, and it doesn't necessarily mean somebody that is a certain size. It was all sizes. And we actually really enjoyed working with people, in reference to this topic idea, who weren't at their goal weight. A friend of ours has a real, a kind of a disproportionate body, very heavy on the top, thick in the middle, and very thin legs. She was the funnest person we've ever dressed because we wanted to minimize her breasts, we wanted to pull her waistline in, and then we wanted to accentuate her nice legs. And when you shopped at our store, we had shoes, accessories, everything. So you didn't have to go, I need to go here and get a belt, I need to go here and get shoes. So we really prided ourselves on making people feel good at any size. And I have a sister who is a little bit, she's not overweight anymore, but she used to be, and I helped dress her for her graduation for her nursing. And I don't think she would have ever tried on what I dressed her in. I dressed her in an A-line pantsuit, and she looked so good. It thinned her out in the midsection. It made her look long and lean, accentuated her shoulders, and it just looked really cute. And I actually could virtually style you. I had a friend of mine send me pictures from the dressing room so I could actually virtually style anyone. And what I'm looking for is, I know what areas bother you, so those are the areas I'm focusing on. You take somebody that's looking really boxy and maybe you throw a ruffle across the center of the dress, and you most importantly want the eye to go to the face, okay? A V-neck brings the eye to the face. Or you pull in, that box a little bit to bring in and make you look like you have a smaller waist with a belt. So just certain tips and tricks. The lengths of the skirt, the length of a men's shirt, different things like that. So on our website, it says if you don't enjoy the journey, you'll never get to the destination. Enjoy the journey and also enjoy how you look at all phases of the journey, because when you get to the destination, you're not going to be surprised. You're going to get there and go, well, of course I'm here. I had a good coach. I did the work. And what mattered most is the journey, right, Josh? It's going to be everything that happened to you. Every time you went to a wedding and went out and thought, you know what? Although I'm not at my goal weight or my goal size, I am going to embrace how I look now. And what I always say is I feel like people dismiss what they've done. And I'll remind them, but you've lost 28 inches and 20 pounds. I get that you want more, but do you want your old self back? Like, you should be jumping in the dressing room, getting yourself an outfit because you have lost 20 plus pounds and 20 some odd inches. So look good now, feel good now. Let's take a scenario. You see somebody coming into a party that has that attitude, and the most beautiful thing that you're going to notice about anyone at any size is their self-confidence. So if you can walk into a party and be like, yeah, you know what? I'm really enjoying this health journey, and stop going to the negative. When someone gives you a compliment and says, wow, Josh, that dress shirt looks really nice on you. Wow, Jane, that dress you have on, it's super cute with your denim jacket. Don't say, but what? Be proud of what you did. Don't say, but I'm not at my goal weight. It's like that negativity is going to prevent you from growth. Own that compliment, shoulders back, chin up, and say 2 words, thank you, and follow up with, I've worked my arse off, man. I am so proud of the way I look now. I am so excited for my future. The only direction I have is up. The other thing that you could do is dwell on the fact that you're not at your goal weight. Put on some baggy, frumpy thing that makes you look bigger than you are. Walk into the party with your shoulders down and your head down and bring all that negative energy in there. What one will you be, Josh? Like, do you notice that when people exude confidence?
Yes.
Like, own it at any size. So the next topic is positive self-talk, which these kind of go hand in hand. I don't allow negativity. We don't allow the F word, fat, only in reference to body fat. We don't use the D word, which is diet. We are not on a diet. We are on a whole foods, nutritious plan, living a healthy lifestyle. We don't allow the C word, which is cheat, because we are all food addicts and we are all in recovery every single day. We're constantly working on not falling back into our food addiction. So we use the term free day because we're establishing a healthy relationship with all foods, and we're creating balance, and we aren't going to have feelings of guilt about anything. We are just going to focus on the tools and reaching out to our coaches, reaching out to our Melfit Army, and figuring out how we cannot let one bad day roll into a bad week. And my sister posted this on the group. I thought it was so cute. She's like, who says this all the time? If you get one flat tire, if I pull over to help you, you don't ask me for a knife so you can slash the other 3. Your kids are in the car, it's snowing, it's icy. Get your crap together and let's change this tire and move on, okay? So, positive self-talk. You look in the mirror and let your eyes go to something. Wow, I really like my neckline and my shoulders, and wow, my glutes are looking really good. And then you can address an area that you don't love, but address it in a positive way by saying, I am going to continue on this anti-inflammatory meal plan, and I'm going to continue to try to reduce my body fat in my abdomen. And that's a positive way, instead of using words like, I hate my body, I hate my stomach, I hate my arms. Like, do not ever say anything like that. Love your body, but constantly improve on making it better, because you can change it. The next one is combating emotional comfort eating. And I think the question I wrote down was, ask yourself this when you're having that emotional eating: is eating this food going to solve my problem? What is the answer to that usually, Josh? Is eating this food going to push me towards my health and fitness goals? After eating this food, will I still want to reach my health and fitness goals? Okay? Questions like that can really help you. It's almost like, taking a deep breath. And I've had something in front of me, and I just thought to myself, do I really want this? Nothing tastes better than fit feels. So, in order to solve a problem, and emotional comfort eating is a huge problem, you have to create a solution. So this is what I said on my Facebook Live. Number your paper 1 to 3. What could I do instead of going to Dairy Queen and getting a Blizzard? What could I do instead of going to Super One and getting an apple fritter? And why am I saying that? Because I used to do that. That was that emotional eating, years ago. That was kind of my go-to. And you number your paper 1, 2, 3. Number 1, go for a walk. Number 2, talk to a friend, call a friend. Number 3, read or rest, okay? Reading, you disconnect from what you're doing. Also, I didn't say this last night, but get out of the kitchen, man. Stop standing in front of your refrigerator. Remove yourself from the environment that's creating that problem. Do you agree, Josh?
Yes.
I say that to myself sometimes. I get really snacky, and I'm like, get out of the kitchen, Coach Mel. Like, get out of there. You ate your lunch. There's no need to be snacking. I talk to myself like that. Close the pantry doors. So, yeah, definitely need to make solutions on things that you can do instead of falling back. And you're never going to be cured. We're always going to have the problem of being a food addict. We're never going to be cured, but we can constantly work on journaling, and you can have that little note that says walk, talk. What was the other one I said, Josh? Walk, talk, sleep. Walk, talk, rest. Have your little note. Oh, you know what? It's early. It's not dark out. I think I'm going to go for a walk. I bet you if I go for a walk for about 45 minutes and come back, that craving will pass. And then it'll be dinner. I'll just eat my dinner. So, have a glass of water. Do something to distract yourself. And, I don't want people to feel guilty when they eat off-plan foods, but let's just face it, if you do eat that apple fritter or you do go get that Dairy Queen, you are going to feel guilty, and sometimes that guilt can derail you 100% from your goals. So if you can recognize that you have that problem and do something in lieu of that comfort eating, because it's just pushing you further and further away from your goals. Okay, the last one was, where are we at, Josh? 24 minutes?
We are at 34.
Oh, I must be looking at the wrong one. 34? Okay, 34 minutes. Okay, so the last one was how to motivate yourself after an injury. And I would always tell my brick and mortar studio clients, you're not dead. Let's focus on what is working, not what's not working. If you don't already know this, my MelFit 25 workouts can be done from a seated position, from somebody who has bad knees to somebody that's in a wheelchair. So there's no excuses. I have a shoulder injury again right now because I was trying to help my husband get the boat, and I jumped off and my foot slipped and my nephew grabbed my arm and I feel like my shoulder's dislocated. And I had a right shoulder injury for years, and it was just a matter of I just didn't use it until it was healed. I didn't think my shoulder hurts, I'm not going to work out. Like, the rest of my body still is working. And another thing too, if you are out 100%, if you've been told by a doctor that you need to take a break from working out for, say, 6 weeks, then your nutrition should be on point. If you cannot, we're creating a deficit through movement. We're not creating a deficit through extreme calorie reduction. So if that movement isn't there, then that's when you really need to be super, super on point with your nutrition. Maybe you don't even take a free day, okay? Definitely not taking 2 free days. So I think that what helps me is I know it's going to make me feel worse to not work out. So how about just work every body part but the one that's injured? So again, I think that it's really psychological, along with everything that we've talked about. It's so mental, because your first instinct when something goes wrong is what, Josh?
Go back to your old habits.
Yeah, go back to your old habits to quit. And the best thing that you can do, this is the silliest thing in the world, but I've done it my whole life. As you know, mental illness runs in my family. My mom is bipolar, and I don't want to be, medicated, and I don't want to lose touch with reality and myself. And I really focus on my own mental health. I know when I need a break. I know when I need a day off. Believe me, sometimes I'll just tell Josh, like I need a mental health day. Okay, so back to the psychological part. What I've always done, is the silliest thing in the world, is I have literally only allowed myself to cry over most things that are traumatic in my life or very upsetting for 5 minutes. This is so silly, but maybe you guys will use it. While I'll have my head on the counter like this, if you're watching this on YouTube, and I cry for 5 minutes. While I am crying, I am trying to figure out a solution for whatever it is that I'm crying about. And everything is figure outable. I heard that on a podcast, and I think it's so true, and I think it's so relevant to MelFit. But I don't want to lose grip with my mental health. And so I put my head down, I cry, and I figure out how I'm going to fix it. And I buck up, because I know that sitting there crying and feeling sorry for myself, it's not going to solve anything. The only thing that's going to solve the problem is if I solve the problem. So when I get done crying, I get up, and I am always been a pen and paper person, and I usually number my paper 1 to 3, and I think, and then I put the problem there. Okay, what are 3 things that I can do now to make this better? Okay, so that's what I do. I solve. That's probably why I've been a business owner for so long, is because I'm constantly putting out fires. And it really helps because I'm also putting out fires in my own life. And I try to, the older I get, I'm not perfect, but I feel like I try to handle my own relationships and people a little bit more eloquently than when I was younger. And sometimes when things seem really big, like how do you eat an elephant 1 bite at a time, it's really not as bad as you think, as long as you can eat at that elephant 1 bite at a time and break it down into small steps. And another good thing you can do to deal with stress, Josh, this is such good advice. Ask yourself this question. My neighbor said this, but is anybody dying? Sometimes they may be, but if they're not, is anybody dying? Does anybody have cancer? Hopefully the answer to both those is no. But also ask yourself, will this matter in a year? Do you ever do that, Josh? Like, right? Like, ask yourself when you're having a freaking total meltdown, is this going to matter in a year? In 1 year, am I going to remember that I was melting down, crying over this, and I thought it was going to affect my life in such a horrible way? Like, in a year, and I always say this too, time heals all wounds. So just remember that. Cry for 5 minutes. Come up with a solution. If you don't have a solution, call a friend, ask for help, ask other people. This is what's going on with me. What would you guys do? Can you offer any advice? And our group is health, fitness, and lifestyle. Lifestyle is not always roses. Sometimes lifestyle is the pit. Sometimes lifestyle is just, you know, man, I am just really going through a hard time. Has anybody else experienced this? Can anybody offer help? And I think that transparency is probably the best thing I could have ever done in my life. I used to be pretty private about a lot of things, but I feel like the more transparent I am with you guys, the more transparent I am with people in general, the more that they can relate to me as a human. And I felt like for the longest time, people think I'm a robot, right, Josh? Can you see that? Like, so I really want to express I am a person. I have feelings. I am very empathetic. I carry the emotion from my clients. When you cry, I cry. When you celebrate, I celebrate. But I also like to let people know that, you know, I'll try to set a little bit of boundaries as far as I have a life. I am a wife. I have 2 stepdaughters, grandkids, lots of kids, lots of hobbies. I love to vacation. And I also am a real estate investor and entrepreneur. I'm building a house. So I think that the more transparent I am with people, the better it is for me. Right, Josh? Because then people don't think I'm a robot. So, but, all right, you guys. So we're wrapping it up. The name of this podcast is Roadblocks. And we named about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. About 5 typical roadblocks that you may experience in the future or you've experienced in the past. And I hope that some advice I offered you resonated with you. And if you like the podcast, subscribe, share. What else, Josh? Subscribe to our YouTube.
Yeah.
So sharing is caring. It's been amazing connecting, inspiring, and motivating you guys. And we will see you guys on the next MaleFit podcast. Bye.